LCARA Ham Radio presents a Time Machine Tuesday vintage video release. Welcome to Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. You can find us at LCARA.net, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. If you're enjoying the videos we're producing here at LCARA, please help our club out by hitting that subscribe button. Also, give us some feedback on our videos. Click the like button, share with anybody who may find it interesting, and be sure and hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified of the next video release. Well, hello folks, this is Chris, KY4CKP, and this is a topic that KY4BDP Brian and myself, and of course many others, have wanted to cover, and Brian and I wanted to kind of put our take on this. And I think these days, while many of us may have some extra time on our hands, and maybe looking for something extra to do, we may want to look into either getting our ham radio license or maybe even upgrading our ham radio license. And so we just wanted to talk about some of the resources that are out there. It's never been easier to get your ham radio license than it is today. The resources that are available and the testing capabilities, of course, right now, studying for the exams, what might be something we could help to fill our time. We may have to wait at least a little while before we can go out in person and take the exams. But we wanted to cover some resources that we can use to, again, either get licensed or upgrade our license, and share some of those with you, some of our favorite things. And there's lots more out there. We're just going to cover a few of the things that we have used personally and that we like. And hey, what's going on? What's happening?
This is Ham Hacker Randy. I'm going to jump in on this video. These nuts, KY4BDP and KY4CKP, going to try to tell you something about going to the government to get some kind of certificate just so you can be on the radio. I haven't had a certificate to be on the radio one time. In fact, I got a secret carrier bees. All I got to do is take my bees to my neighbors and they'll fly back to my house. They just got to tie a little message to their little legs. Works every time. Of course, you do get stung occasionally. Ooh, I better go.
All right. Well, we're back. And we do beg your pardon for that interruption from that character, Ham Hacker Randy. Don't be a Ham Hacker Randy. Yeah, you do require a license for ham radio not only in the United States, but in most countries around the world, if not every country. So we just wanted to cover, we'll get back on track here. We just wanted to cover some of our resources that we have used personally. And again, there's many more out there. And use your search engine of choice. You can find a lot of these things. But just to give folks at least some ideas and point out some of these resources. So one of the first things I want to talk about, let's hop over to the LCARA website. Here we are, LCARA.net. This is our Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association website. And lots of resources here. And we've always talked, Brian and I have always talked about finding clubs in your area, maybe checking out a couple of them if you have choices, and consider joining a club. There are just so many benefits to joining a club. The camaraderie, making some new friends, hopefully projects and things as we are trying to show with LCARA, and again, for Brian and myself being newer hams, less than 2 years, and showing that perspective. But the wealth of knowledge, and that can include resources and helping to get ready for the exams, encouragement for the exams. Some clubs even have study sessions and things that they'll help do. And then as you can tell here with LCARA, you see we have a section here on our homepage. It's called VE Testing. And we have a couple of places, VE Testing information. And once you become a ham radio operator, general class or extra class, you can become a volunteer examiner, a VE, and donate your time back to the community and help give tests to help other folks become licensed hams. I've done that myself. Brian is looking into that as well. I've even participated in a testing session, and of course things are a little bit unusual right now, but as things get back to normal, we'll have regular testing sessions as many areas and clubs around the country do. And you have the volunteer examiners who donate their time back in to help provide those tests and for folks. So you can look around your area, and you should be able to find something where people are doing that. Our club does it, and many other places do it. So there's even the potential for online testing. There are rules that can allow for that. A lot of situations aren't really prepared for that, but after the current situation, we may even see more of that happening, which may even make it more convenient for folks to get tested. But usually these days, you can find some testing, usually not too far away. Certainly within an hour's drive. I'd say probably within half an hour's drive of a lot of folks. If we, even know to maybe even look and do some research and see what's out there. So that's part of it is finding some testing and folks that can help you, and then they can potentially provide you with resources. Your local ham club can help provide you with resources as well. Now, one of the other things I wanted to cover, we're just going to run through some resources here, is of course, get your hands on a copy of the ARRL, the U.S. band chart. For here in the United States at least, or for whatever country you may be looking for. I'm sure there's going to be resources that can help you for your country. Here in the United States, get this band chart because, and just kind of start to study it, because it's just going to help you learn what bands are available and what areas of the bands are available, and that will help you not only just you know satisfy some of your curiosity and interest in ham radio, but also certain aspects of certain questions on the exam. It never hurts to know the ranges that are available, whether you're a general licensee or a technician license or an amateur extra license. And they even have grandfathered in some of the older designations like advanced, which has generally about the same coverage as a modern extra, pretty close in most cases at least. But it doesn't hurt to get this band chart. You can get these for free, or you can order or get a laminated copy or something like that. But just study this. It's a free resource, and it's just a little bit of a resource that can help you understand the different bands that are out there and at which level, which license level, tech, general or extra for the modern levels, and where you can participate. And you might be surprised that even with a technician license, see here a T. Anytime you see a T on the chart here, we're pretty well used to 70 centimeter and 2 meters. Sometimes folks don't realize there was another band that just hasn't been as popular in modern times, 1.25 meters. I have some equipment that can do 1.25 meters, and technicians have access there just like they do 2 meters and 70 centimeters. Also take a look up there at 6 meters. You can get on, some people will call it HF or near HF, but you can get on 6 meters, which can be of interest. Now it's kind of called the magic band. It tends to come and go when it's here, and as soon as people figure out it's here, it gets super busy. And it may only last 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and then it's gone for a little while. But it can be an interesting band to get on. And then depending if you're getting into learning, CW, Morse code, there's some areas you can get on and participate on. Over here on the bottom left-hand part of the chart, notice 80 meters. You've even got a little bit of area that you can participate on, again, CW in some cases if you're interested in that. And there are folks still interested in that. I have not really gotten into that yet myself personally, but maybe someday. But the 2 meter, 70 centimeter, 1.25 meters, 6 meters. There's a few areas out there that you might have some interest in, and especially if you are interested in CW and be able to have CW practice. And then of course once you hit general, you can see lots of areas open up. Almost something in every single band opens up for a general level license. Now, some people will tell you, stop at general. It's all you really need. That second test, and you can enjoy the world. And that's completely true, right? That's completely true. Now, what I found for myself personally was I was getting more and more into long distance communications. I still talk to lots of people around the United States for various reasons, parks on the air and other things, various contests and things that are happening. Still trying to get my worked all states and some various things. But I have, at least personally, found myself really enjoying trying to be able to communicate with new and interesting countries, places I haven't talked to before, places that are further away, and things, just kind of on a personal note, not major contesting or anything like that per se. And so what I found out is by putting a little further effort in, studying a little bit more, and getting amateur extra, it does open up some additional areas on many of the bands. You can kind of look at the chart here and see it'll open up some additional areas. Not always a whole lot, but a little bit of something. And um, a lot of other countries, their bandwidth allocation for their licensed hams is different than ours. I work and enjoy talking to some folks in England and a lot of other countries, and their allocation is not the same as ours. They might be able to go lower than we can go, and then conversely, some of the times we can go higher than they can go, even if they're at the top license for their region or their country. And so it opens up a little bit more when you go to amateur extra, when you're maybe getting into that side of things. But general, and I was general, of course, for a good while, almost year and a half, you can still explore the world. It does open up a whole lot and gives you plenty of time to explore. But you've also got the other folks that are going to say, the second you pass your general test, they're going to say, well, when are you going for extra? It happens to all of us, I guess. And that's fine too. You certainly don't have to. But again, with the materials we're going to be covering, it's easier than ever before. They dropped the CW portion for good or ill, depending on your opinion. They dropped that years ago, and the resources today are just tremendous to help us get licensed. So having the band chart is something I think we should have. Learning the NATO code, I didn't bring it up. I could search for that real quick. In fact, while we're here, we'll just do a quick resource search because that's something else that I did. Certainly personally, the NATO alphabet is what we use for um, amateur radio. And I got a chart. I could go find mine. I found a chart that I liked. It happened to show like the cuneiform or the cuneiform, the flags, and what the Morse code and stuff would look like. This might be a little bit fuzzy. In fact, this might have been the one that I downloaded a local copy of it. Um, it was one very similar to this anyway, and it kind of shows you what the CW would be, and of course the letters and the flag codes and all the rest. But you might want to get one of these. And I just because many years ago, many years ago, I won't say how many, but it was many years ago. When I was in Cub Scouts and that kind of stuff, did just a little bit of this kind of stuff. Never took it very far, and in my life, um, just didn't serve in the military, and so I hadn't learned this kind of thing. Military or police, and police kind of have their own variations in some of this. But so I just downloaded one of these charts, like you see right here, and I just set myself to studying, the NATO alphabet, and for weeks and in a few months, I would bring it up, go through it 2 or 3 times, not 1,000 times in one day, but every day or almost every day, week in and week out for several weeks and a few months. I just bring this document open and go through this 2 or 3 4 5 times, especially if I was sitting there watching YouTube videos, maybe making a few calls on 2 meters or 70 centimeters or whatever it was in the early days. Because I didn't get into to HF for a good while, probably a year. It was probably at least close to a year after I got licensed, 8 months or something before I even had an HF radio. I was enjoying 2 meters and that stuff like a lot of us do, even though I did pass tech in general on the same day. Just kind of took my time before I got into HF, and of course that's fine. But yeah, learning this is not a bad resource. It just helps a lot of things. It helps just become comfortable with our own call signs, with other people's call signs, and just a little bit of time, a couple times a day or whatever for a few weeks. It's not hard. Just I would run through the chart forwards, go through every letter, say it, and I go backwards through the chart. I didn't just want to go forwards. I went forwards, backwards, forward, backwards, that kind of thing. Flipped it around a little bit, and you learn it, pick it up. Not too hard. Just don't make it too much of a chore. Just add it into what you're doing every day. So get the band chart. Never hurts just to kind of start to learn this more and more. Um, may help with a few questions, whatever. Help give you a little bit more reference point to what question may be covering. The NATO alphabet never hurts anything. Now, some of the mainstream resources. We're just going to hop over to Amazon here. You can get these from a number of sources. Now, there's a bunch of books. If I scroll down here, you can see in the suggested and customers also bought or just whatever. ARRL has books. Different people have published books. There's a lot of, I'm sure, very good books. I'm just going to talk about what I used and what Brian used, largely because I had these and shared some of these with him, and I think he maybe bought one or two on his own too. But the author is Buck, K4IA, Craig Buck, and the reason I went with his books over any of those, because I was doing some research, and there's some online resources which we'll get to in a moment. But the reason I went with his books was because I liked his style of presentation. Now, it's a little bit of a curious thing with the test that we have to take for our ham radio license here in the United States, at least. But all the questions are public knowledge, whether you're going for technician, general, or amateur extra. All the questions are public knowledge. They're published. And so pretty much therefore the answers to the questions are also published in public knowledge. So when you go to take the exam, the day you take your exams, it's not open book, but all the materials are available, completely available for you to prepare for the exams. Well, the thing I like about the way Buck does it is all he puts in his books is the question and the correct answer. You know, most classic materials will have the question and they'll, it's a multiple choice exam, and so they'll have, four potential responses, only one of which is correct. But the thing that Buck says, if you decide to take a look at his books, and I agreed with his philosophy was, why do you want to even put incorrect information into your brain? Like if you're reading a typical book to study for the exam, if it's an actual exam prep book, there's plenty of just good content books out there covering all kinds of aspects of radio, HF, UHF, VHF, antenna making, all the rest of it. But if it's a study book, why would you even put any incorrect information into your brain? So if the typical book has the question, 3 incorrect answers, 1 correct answer, you're putting 3 times as much incorrect information in your brain as you are correct information, just by having to look through those, maybe find that correct answer. So the way he does his books is he puts the question, and all he puts is the correct answer. And when you study that way, at least for me, it seemed to work really well, and for again Brian, KY4BDP, it really helps that correct answer stand out when you go to take the test, because you'll read the question. Hopefully you've studied enough that it rings a bell with you, and you start to look at the answers. The incorrect ones are not going to be familiar to you at all. Your eyes never really saw those or any version of them, right? But that correct answer, or at least a pretty close version of the correct answer, should stand right out to you. That's how he does his books, and that's why I liked his philosophy, and that's why I got his books, and they worked very well for me. I did end up passing Tech in General first time I took them on the same night. I hadn't really studied for extra yet that night. I went ahead and tried the extra exam, failed miserably, but at least I got to see the exam, kind of see what it was all about. And then when I was ready for extra, year and a half or whatever it was later, got the extra version of his book, studied that, passed it. Now I didn't get perfect score, but I got a good strong score. Um, so first time pass every time. And of course you can retake the exams if you ever need to. It's not at all the end of the world if you don't pass the very first time on any one of these. People are willing to help, and you can take them again. So that's why I like these books. Again, there's plenty of other books, and down here, you know how Amazon works. So, there's all kinds of books. ARRL has their books, and other people have their books, and there's lots of great info out there. Just telling you what I used and what seemed to work really well for me. Because what a lot of hams will tell you is simply getting your license at whatever level you have. That's really only the beginning. It's if you get in and participate in the hobby and enjoy the hobby, that's when a lot of the learning is really going to happen. The passing the exams allows you to get through the door, and then you can go and explore this new world, certainly as much as you're interested in. So the one thing about any kind of a study material for the exams is they do change the pool of questions every so many years. So you can see this book has a date with it, 2018 to 2022. The pool of questions for technicians became active in 2018 and goes to 2022. So whenever you're going to buy material, potentially, there's free stuff out there too, of course. Just make sure you're getting the most recent version. That it's going to cover the most recent version of the exam that you would actually take. Now, tech's been around a couple of years. Buck also has the book for general. It's been around for a couple of years, 19 through 23. All right, so those questions refreshed last year, and so you got a couple more years on that. The one where right now in 2020 is extra. And again, I had all three of these books. They may be laying around, but you can see they're not very expensive. Whether it's 17 bucks a piece, whatever. Now, the extra class, amateur extra, this one will be changing over very soon, I believe, within a month or two, or just not very long. So definitely think about when you might be able to take the exam. And these are unusual times. We're not able to get out as much as normal. I know a lot of testing sessions are having to get canceled right now, and so it can certainly, even if you wanted to go faster, you may have to take a couple, 3 or 4 months, uh, not only to maybe study up a little bit, but then for the testing sessions to be able to come back online and to get into a test. So, and you may not be ready to jump straight to extra right away anyway, and that's okay. But if you are interested in extra, make sure, because you see the book is 2016 to 2020. This is the year where it will be changing over. So you might, unless you're just ready to try to get it and you just may not have time because of the unusual circumstance we're in, you may just want to wait until the next series of questions goes live, and then you can get an updated book, I'm sure. Okay, but for tech in general, the books that are available today and for the next couple, 3 years are good for that. Again, they're only about $16, $17 a piece. So there's many more books out there. I liked these. I liked Buck's philosophy. Show you the question, only show the right answer, and it should help you see those right answers when you take the tests. And it has worked for a lot of folks and worked for Brian and myself. So plenty of good books. All right, that's another great resource, and they're not real expensive. Okay, for that kind of thing. Your ham club, if you join a club, may even have a library of some of these things. Because once you've done these, you don't have to use them again. In fact, if I can find mine, I'm going to probably donate them to our ham club in case anybody that comes along, new members or anything, or people wanting to upgrade, would have at least maybe a resource that might still be available to them. Of course, there's some other good stuff, and so of course in the online world, I want to talk about a couple of YouTube channels. Of course, we at LCARA have our YouTube channel. We're trying to bring new content out, especially from the new ham perspective and the club perspective. We haven't done anything real specific to helping get ready for the exam. We're doing this particular video to encourage folks and point out some resources that are available. But there's a couple of folks, and I'm sure there's some more out there, but there's a couple of folks that I'm aware of that have specifically put a lot of time and effort into helping people get ready for the different exams. And just the first one here that's come up, these are not in any particular order. Josh over at HAMRadio Crash Course. I mean, his title, HAMRadio Crash Course. And he does videos on all kinds of things, ham related and some other things. But if you look under his playlist, and we come down a little bit, and we come over, depending on how YouTube's laying out for you on that particular day, get your general amateur radio license, get your technician amateur license. He did a series of videos going over the questions and things. And I think he's got one for extra, or he's working on it. Okay, but those two series, and check out Josh, check out his style, see what you think about him. But he specifically put some time and effort into that stuff. Okay. Now, another really great resource is David Kassler. David Kassler has been a ham a long time, and for many, many years, even really before YouTube or YouTube and using the internet the way we do today was so popular, he put out a whole bunch of videos. He's put out a whole bunch of videos, and he's got all kinds of good stuff. Ask Dave, but he's got a whole series: technician, ham radio license, general license, extra license. And you can see many, many videos in the series. 37, 38, 46, because the pool of questions gets bigger. Right, technicians, the shortest, easiest exam in a sense, fewest overall questions in the pool. General's quite a bit bigger. Extra is quite a bit bigger than that. So it'll take a little bit of extra time to study for each one, but he's got tons of video, and he's been working on. He had these on DVD and stuff like that, and he's been converting things over, getting them to where you can put them on YouTube. He can still distribute these on like flash drives and things. He'll charge you for the flash drive, but the videos are basically free. You can get them right here. I'm sure there's other great resources, but here's a couple anyway. A couple of really great resources. They do a lot of great reviews and all kinds of other ham radio related stuff. There's many other good uh, ham radio channels on YouTube. Okay, this is just a couple and that have some pretty specific content towards helping get ready for the exam. Now, of course, another good resource that you'll probably run into pretty quickly if you haven't already, if you're looking to get licensed. Um, and there's two or three sites that are probably kind of similar to this, but certainly one of them, Ham Study, hamstudy.org, and you can study for any level of the exam you're interested in. And they've got kind of a couple of different ways you can have them present the questions and things. And again, a free resource. None of the resources we're talking about are terribly expensive, but free is always a good thing. So hamstudy.org, great resource, one of a number, I'm sure, right? And of course, we talked about maybe getting the NATO alphabet and just studying that and to where you know the call sign of the alphabets well. So that's pretty much it for this video. Just wanted to cover some of the resources that are out there that are popular and that KY4 BDP and myself have personally used to help with our adventures in ham radio and getting our license. And like I said, don't be a ham hacker Randy. You do have to get licensed. Now, if you want to play on some radio, um, you know, 11 meters, CB radio, 11 meters, and there's nothing wrong with that. Inexpensive equipment and does not take a license. Okay. If you want to maybe step things up a little bit and go into a little bit more formalized area of radio that gets a little more towards the scientific side of things and open up more of the world potentially, especially if you get into HF radio, go ahead and get your actual amateur license. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to cover some of these resources, especially now that we may be looking for some ways to fill our time, although some of us are still able to work in some capacity. Um, you may have to wait a little bit for the testing, but you could start spending some time on some of these resources to study and be ready for your testing once things open up a little better. So that's pretty much it. This is Chris, KY4CKP, for Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association 73.